Hey guys, so in this video I'll be going through everything you need to know about Amazon Vendor Central Agreements. For those of you who are new here, my name is Benjamin Bolshinsky. I used to work at Amazon in the vendor retail team for almost 3 years, and now I run a company called Vendor Launch where we provide consulting services for Amazon vendors. So without further ado, what are Amazon Vendor Central Agreements? So basically, this is the mechanism by which Amazon will claim money from you, in which they will deduct costs for doing business with Amazon. It's through Vendor Central Agreements. There are 4 different types of agreements that you might encounter in your Vendor Central account. So the first is accruals. These are the most common. So yeah, these are what are used to kind of create your trading terms with Amazon, your marketing funds. They will accumulate funds based on purchases or sales to customers. So they're typically unit based agreements. So maybe $1 per unit, and so every time Amazon orders a product from you, or every time they sell a product to the customer, Amazon will then claim back from you that cost per unit. They will claim that back from you. And so now these accrual agreements can be used for a number of things. Most commonly, they are probably what your trading terms consist of. So your damage allowance and your marketing allowance, which comprise the trading terms of doing business with Amazon. They're typically set up as accrual agreements, but also promotional funding agreements. So if you're running a promotion on Amazon, it will have a promotional agreement. Prime Day, for example, where Amazon will claim back money for each unit they sell to the customer during those promotional dates. So that's kind of one of the use cases for the accrual agreements. But those are the 2 main ones. So your trading terms and then your promotional funding. Then we go into straight pay agreements. Oops. So this is also a type of agreement that Amazon will often use. These are just lump sum agreements. So they're not based on purchases or sales. It's just a lump sum, 10K, 20K. And they're used to bill vendors for services that cost a fixed amount of money for Amazon. So for example, like Vine program, banners, merchandising, things that you just have a one-off cost. Now, typically, Amazon will prefer an accrual agreement because these will scale with the amount they sell, right? Because they bill you on a unit basis. The more products they sell or the more products they buy from you, the more money they collect. Whereas a straight pay agreement, because it's a one-off cost, if it's used for a promotional period, for example, if Amazon oversell, if they sell more than the forecast, then they might incur more costs because the straight pay agreement only covers a certain fixed cost. So generally speaking, Amazon will prefer accrual agreements because they scale with units sold or units bought from you, whereas a straight pay agreement is typically just a lump sum. It doesn't scale. But having said that, one-off costs will typically be straight pay agreements. Then we've got what are called volume incentive rebates, VIRs. Basically, it's also an accrual. So it scales with units, and it basically provides an incentive for vendors to sell more products. An example, a VIR can be set up where you receive a rebate of 5% of the cost of goods if at least 100K units are purchased in a given time period. So these are typically done with vendors to incentivize Amazon to buy more products. So it might be, if Amazon buys X dollars in a certain period, then there's a 5% or a certain rebate that you get back, for that quantity. So yeah, these are typically used to incentivize more sales. Flexible agreements, also known as special promotional allowance. These offer a discount for customer orders placed during a given promotional period covering specific ASINs. So basically, it's the same as an accrual in terms of its base unit funding. $2 per unit of one of your ASINs, and it just scales with the amount that you sell. But essentially, it's just for promotional periods. So those are the types of agreements. that you might encounter, the main ones. There's also, guaranteed margin agreements, which you probably shouldn't sign. But the important thing to note is there's kind of two ways that Amazon can make money from you. They can issue a contract agreement, agreement, which then will claim back whatever the amount that agreement stipulates, or they can just negotiate, or you can negotiate different costs, and that way, they will invoice, or you will invoice them less. They will pay you less upfront. So basically, the contra cogs agreements, they result in payments to Amazon after we have paid for the original service. So, for example, if you've got an agreement for $1 rebate for one of your products, then what will happen is you will say you invoice $10 per unit. So Amazon orders 100 units at $10. That's what you invoice. When the product is delivered, you get paid. And then they might have an agreement where they will claim back, say, $1, 10%, when the product is on promotion. So in like a month or 2 months, they will then claim back that money. Now, they can also just negotiate a lower cost, right? So that you invoice them less. It's the same result. Either you invoice $10 and then they claim back $1 in 2 months, or you just invoice them $9, right? Absolute value is the same. But in terms of cash flow, Amazon will always prefer to negotiate better costs instead of offsetting via these agreements, right? Because contra cogs, or these rebates, these agreements, are detrimental to their cash flow, because again, the funds are unavailable for a period of time. They claim back the money, but they claim back in 30 days and 60 days, or whenever the agreement stipulates. So Amazon will always try and negotiate a lower cost versus getting that money back in an agreement in 30 or 60 days, whatever the case may be. And so from your perspective as the vendor, you should try and maintain a higher cost and then offset via an agreement if you so have to. Because, again, it's better for your cash flow that you get to invoice the full cost upfront, and then in 60 days, you can Amazon will then take that money via a rebate, as opposed to you invoicing less upfront. Cool. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, and this is important across all agreements. Remember, if you have not accepted an agreement in Vendor Central, Amazon cannot claim that money back from you. So make sure that once you're signing an agreement in Vendor Central, that you're absolutely committed and you know that it's in place. Because oftentimes these agreements, once they're signed, are almost impossible to get out of. Vendor managers churn, you're going to have new account managers, old account managers leave, paper trails get lost. So just make sure if you're signing an agreement, you're well aware of why you're signing it, where that money is going, how that money is impacting your sales, right? If you're not aware, you probably shouldn't sign it. So just make sure you're absolutely clear. Make sure you have a paper trail, emails that specifically say when, this agreement, when it is in place, for how long, and what is the consequences. So just make sure you're very deliberate about how you go about with these things. Hopefully that helps. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Talk soon, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Bye.